Bitcoin for Corporations, the Microstrategy and Michael Saylor virtual event has gone down a day or two ago, and what seems to have been a huge success, really. 1,400 corporations and 5,600 executives all descended on the virtual conference to learn about MicroStrategy and other CEOs' playbook for purchasing large amounts of Bitcoin, essentially converting part of their balance sheets away from fiat cash into Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation. This is significant for two reasons, really. Obviously, the more corporations decide to put their balance sheet and their nest eggs and their treasury reserves into Bitcoin, then it's going to have an upward pressure on the Bitcoin price. But another advantage for the community is, of course, the huge confidence boost it gives and the credibility. Before a few years ago, if a company director or the CEO had gone to the board and says, "Look, we've got this money and I want to buy Bitcoin with it," he could have lost his job quite easily. They could have sent him off to the funny farm. Now it couldn't really be much different. The race is on for companies to educate themselves, to create the internal company legal frameworks to be able to make these moves. Because a lot of these companies have charters, and those charters will prohibit any investments in this kind of space. So there needs to be a lot of legal work within these companies. So there really needs to be a lot of internal education, a change to companies' legal frameworks, and obviously they need to get stakeholder buy-in. So this is not necessarily going to be an overnight thing. Just because these companies have gone to the conference doesn't mean tomorrow they can buy can start buying Bitcoin. It could take months. It could take a year. But the important thing really is not that they're going to just start buying it now and start pumping the price. As I say over and over again in this podcast, I couldn't really care less about the day-to-day price as long as the annual lows still keep ticking up. It is incredibly volatile at the moment, and it uses far too much mental energy to just worry about the price all the time. In fact, that's why I stopped trading, because when something seems to happen when you add margin onto your positions. You become obsessed. You're like a crack addict, staring at the screen, not sleeping, not eating, just position tracking, and it's not good. It's stressful, and I feel so much better with just the coins in my ledger. So anyway, back to MicroStrategy. This is, it's great news all around. It's good news now. It's good news for the next 6 months, and it's just a continuation of this pattern that we're in, where more and more companies are deciding on an individual basis to, we need a hedge, and this, of course, is the hedge. I'm going to play now the clip of Michael Saylor in his keynote interview with Ross Stevens discussing how both of them have converted their balance sheets into Bitcoin. I will leave a link in the comments below to the full MicroStrategy conference. It's about 5 or 6 hours long. So for those of you that have the time or the interests, enjoy.
You and I are both CEOs. We have a lot we need to focus on. Why should we even care about reserve assets?
Well, I think a CEO has two jobs, right? Executive, but also capital allocator. The first one is obvious. The second is more important. Capital allocation is a CEO's most important job. Cash is now a liability, no longer an asset. And I think that has profound long-term implications for corporations. Learning Bitcoin is like, at least to me, for me, it was like learning a foreign language. You live in Spain for a year, or you live in France for a year, and at some point you get good enough. It takes some time, but with immersion, you think in Spanish, right? You think in French. Something clicks for you. You make that switch. Taking me 8 years of morning study and a lifetime of lessons studying the markets. But I now think in Bitcoin, and it's very freeing. And through that lens of thinking in Bitcoin, Bitcoin is not volatile. Fiat is volatile. The price of college is volatile, and fiat keeps getting cheaper in Bitcoin. The price of prime real estate is very volatile, and fiat keeps getting cheaper in Bitcoin. The price of all of my long-dated denominated liabilities like a mortgage or retirement, or we do a lot of work with insurance companies, they're long dated fiat based liabilities, a death benefit for life insurance contracts or annuity payments. Those are extraordinarily volatile in fiat, and they each keep getting cheaper in Bitcoin. And so to understand really what's going on and why this is happening, I think we need to ask ourselves two things. One, like what is money? Like what is it? And why is Bitcoin an excellent money, or even is it an excellent money? So what's money? Money is technology. It is, and it always has been technology, whether it was seashells or salt. And if gold went to, I don't know, $100,000 an ounce, so up 50x overnight, you and I know what's going to happen tomorrow morning. The miners are going to get to work very early, right?
I'd be mining it.
You and I would drop the phone and start mining, right? We're going to start mining. We're going to look around our house for gold. We're going to melt it down. We're going to drive up the supply. We can't skyrocket the supply, but we're going to drive up the supply. We're going to drive down the price of gold. If during the course of this conversation, people really feel like bullish on Bitcoin and Bitcoin goes to 1 million, I'm just saying that with a smile, what's going to happen to the supply of Bitcoin? Nothing. That's incredible. Bitcoin is the first store of value in human history where its supply is never, can never, will never be affected by any amount of its increased demand. So the conclusion is that Bitcoin is better at being gold than gold because it's more saleable across time.
All right, so pretty fascinating, huh?